2.
Hello, and welcome back to WASD 2021. I'm here with Jahva, who's here to be running Vision Soft Reset. So you've already introduced yourself once, but feel free to do so again and tell us a bit about the game you're playing.
Yeah, hello again, guys. I'm Jahva. I'm going to be playing Vision Soft Reset, like Sleepless has mentioned. It's a Metroidvania game, so we're going to start off pretty underpowered, but get more and more power-ups as we go through. And there's some interesting mechanics with time in this game, and we'll definitely be seeing that throughout the run. So I'll get started now in 3, 2, 1, and start. Okay, our main character here is Oracle. She's the one, obviously, that I'm controlling. Currently we have just move, jump and shoot. Those are sort of the basic controls that we start with. And we're going to be shoved straight into a mini-boss who's going to teach us a bit about our time, like our powers of controlling time. And Oracle is very, very powerful in that sense. She can perceive attacks coming from enemies, and you'll see that with the grey sort of outlines that Sherivis here shoots at us before actually firing an attack. He unfortunately concludes that if he can't see where he's throwing his own attacks, then we can't either, but of course we can see it still, and he ends up hitting himself in his blindness. So that fight was pretty trivial. We'll be moving down to the main planet now and getting started with a run. So a bit of the lore for the game. We're going to have 20 minutes to save the world, because we won't actually see any of the lore. We're kind of bypassing most of it with the speedrunning route. So essentially we find out that the planet's going to be destroyed after 20 minutes time, and of course we have 20 minutes to save it. But it doesn't really make sense for us to be able to save the world in that amount of time, because of course there's plenty of power-ups spread about the map, and it'd be near impossible to collect them all in the 20 minutes allotted to us. So we have to make use of rewinding time. And we do that by like save stations, like one that's coming up in a second. I'll make sure to point that out just after this guy. So at a save station like this, when we save, it remembers how far in we are. So currently we're 33 seconds, and you can see that in the top right. When we save, it'll remember that in like a time tree, and we can go back to different areas where we've saved before at different times, and we get to keep some power-ups but don't keep some other things like collectibles and like extra health and extra vision. And vision is the bar in the top middle of the screen. You can see at the moment we've got 100% of our visions, but when you, for example, take damage or just want to rewind time, you can rewind time, and it will go back through the last however many visions you expend to see or like go back through the past and like avoid damage that you just took or undo a mistake that you made. And that's sort of very, very crucial in the run. So if you make a mistake at all, you're going back and rewinding it generally. So we just got our first power up there. That's the charge shot, and that will let us break through walls like that. But it also lets us do a few interesting movement options, such as the cannon jump, which we'll see in a second, just after these minutes. Oh, that's unfortunate. There you can see a time rewind, because obviously I got hit by this guy. So every time I sort of mess something up, I'll be rewinding time. And here's a little sequence break that we came up with using the cannon jump. You can see if you shoot downwards, it gives you a little bit of upwards momentum, and that can break a lot of the cycles in the game. The next power-up will be the dodge. Grabbing that in just a second. So we accumulate power-ups quite quickly, because we know, obviously I know where all of them are. It makes it a lot easier to gather them throughout. And there's the dodge. So combining these is quite useful. You can do a dash jump, so like combining the dash and the jump, kind of like a super jump in Celeste or something like that. I just got to input the passcode, and we'll be heading down further into the map. And of course, you'd learn that passcode in a slightly different area, but obviously it's the same every time, so I remember it. And you can see we've started using dash jumps here, there, and everywhere, because they are really, really fast. And you can kind of extend a dash jump with a cannon jump, because when you shoot down with a cannon, you keep all of the momentum from the dash jump. And we use that to do another sequence break there, where we outpace the sort of little enemy there. He's the red cat guy who we just saw. And we use that to outpace him and get in before he can close the door. And that's obviously a huge time save, because you'd have to do several other things before being able to get into that run. There's a few little puzzle sections here before the next power-up. Sort of, once you've done it 1,000 times, you can't really mess it up. And another little sequence break here. This run's absolutely jam-packed with things we've found to slightly alter the way you're intended to play the game. And that uses a dash jump and a cannon jump to reach into the secret area that you would have found later on in the run. Obviously, again, we know where it is. Grabbing our third power-up here, the wall run. And that's going to let us run up walls. Very, very useful. It's intended to be used basically everywhere in the run. We'll use it now to grab a couple power-ups that we're going to need. Because in this run we're going to be completing everything. We're going to be getting 100% completion. So that means getting all of the optional power-ups. They're all going to be important to getting that 100% completion. And we're also going to be getting the true ending, which is going to involve collecting all of the creature cards which are scattered across the map. So the creature cards will let you deal a bit more damage to the enemy on the card, and we'll also we'll have to gather them all in one go around the map. We're going to damage boost off these guys to break through this wall, and then grab that power up, and that'll be all for this timeline. So, I should have explained this when we did it last. So here we have a time tree. I'm going to be using that to warp to where we were earlier, at the same time we were there earlier. And we're going to be inputting a passcode that I, of course, know because I've played the game, not because I found it on this run. It's luckily the same every time. And we'll be getting into our next boss, which is that's the same cat from earlier, but now he's buffed himself up. We're gonna have a bit of a challenge fighting him. He can be quite RNG heavy. He goes all over the place, and it's quite difficult to avoid his attacks sometimes. We're using our time rewind a lot against him, like seeing his attacks after they come. Quite a generous movement pattern there. Let's just deal a ton of damage to him for his next attack. We want to get him down to 3rd HP, because after that he will unlock this decryptor here, and that's going to be our claw. So the claw will let us do an absolute ton of damage, and that would usually let us kill Grieger really fast, but we're not going to bother. We're just going to go back to the beginning, because we've got more power-ups to collect. And I should explain this a bit better. Thanks for the good luck everyone in the chat. I should explain this a bit better. When we rewind time, we get to maintain all of the power-ups we collected, so I still have the claw, I still have the charge shot, I still have the dodge, etc. But I don't have any of the creature cards, and I don't have any bonus health or anything. That's sort of the drawback of... Oops, that's the sort of drawback of rewinding time. And obviously you don't have the areas that you've reached in the past. It's a very intricate system. It's very cool, because with the 20-minute time limit, it can be very important where you save, or when you save, for example. Let's say you get very far into the map in 19 minutes, then you only have 1 minute to collect anything that you might want to collect in that timeline. So it's important to get to areas fast, and that sort of lends itself to speedrunning quite well, because you'd rather get to an area in, say, 5 minutes than 19 minutes. That's really what caught my attention with this game. It's a lovely mechanic. I think it's very clever. Oops, these guys can be in the way a little bit. It's alright. Yeah, like I said, we're using the dash jump absolutely everywhere. It's crucial to this run. It really saved so much time. I didn't know this initially. Felisan, who joined the Discord, very good. That's a terrible map. Oops. Okay, yeah, Felisan found that one, I believe, and I went straight into the run. That was a huge discovery. Oops. So a second ago we turned on the power, which is what we went down to the left for. There's one specific spot that absolutely requires us to turn the power on. Oops, this jumps so sloppy. But after that, we literally never use the power again, so it's really unfortunate that we have to use it. There. Here we're going to be fast forwarding the time a bit. That's another thing you can do at these save spots. You can fast forward to a bit in the future. It's not quite right. Okay, that's a good time. Yeah, so at 10 minutes, so you can see currently we're at 9:09. At 10 minutes, the wind will blow, and it's important that we set off several music notes. Like for example, this note C, I want that to go off, as well as A, F, and G, or A, E, and G? Yeah, A, E, and G. And so it's important that we have all of those notes done by the time 10 minutes passes, but we don't want to have them all finished by 7 minutes, for example, and then have to wait until 10 minutes for the wind to blow. So it's important to set a very specific time on that save point, so that we can have the last note be collected and then the wind blow almost immediately, so we can get through the door to the next boss, who's caused me a lot of grief in the last couple of days. It's kind of important for this run to beat the first boss damageless, because that's how you collect the creature cards for the bosses, by beating them damageless. So we've got all of the notes out there in a very good amount of time. It's almost perfect. So here you have the wind blow, and that door over there opens. That was absolutely perfect. It was flawless. So we have to beat this boss without taking damage, which is very tricky. It might take me a try or two. Hopefully we get it first go, but I'll try my best. It's a very challenging build. Okay, that's a really good sign. I'm happy to see. Time a bit there, just to line myself up a bit better. Using the claw power up here to its utmost potential, you can see on the right hand side that just does an absolute ton of damage. Okay. And we're going to be taking her out damageless. That's really good. That was everything I was scared about in this run. So that's her name's Salacia. We've taken her down. Now we've got to just outpace her spinning scythe, and we're going to be doing that by grabbing this power up on the right hand side, which gives us super speed when we run on the ground for a long period of time. So if we run for a bit, we'll get a speed boost, like you briefly saw there, but we don't want to stay here too long and admire it. We want to keep on going, collecting more power-ups. We've got one more main power-up to get, and that's the ability to strip off our suit, so we can be a little worm and move through some tight spaces. And that's going to be the last power-up we need to collect everything in the game. So we'll be grabbing all the power-ups and then using them to collect various things throughout the game that are necessary for the 100% and the true ending. Okay, this is one of the areas you're supposed to visit very fast. This is where very early in the game, sorry. This is where you discover that the planet's actually going to explode in 20 minutes. And instead of counting up in the top right, the timer counts down. And you learn that, in fact, you're limited in time. But since we never actually trigger that cutscene, the timer just continues to count up, and we just keep going. It's pretty tight dash jump there to make it over that chasm, and that's where down below is where the planet's core is. And that's where you learn that, in fact, the world's going to explode because that core has been ruptured. And we'll soon find out why as well. We did another little sequence break there to get up into this area. I'm not sure that was intended, but it's very fun to pull off, especially when you get it right the first time. Okay, here we're going to be showing off our super speed that we just unlocked in the last boss. We can use that to run on water, run up walls, and break these barriers, like so. And that lets us climb all the way up into this sort of laboratory-esque section that would usually be an absolute platforming nightmare, because you have these black squares running around the screen. But the way we play the game, or the order in which we play the game, lends us to not picking up a virus which would corrupt our suit and cause all those black squares, so we get an uninhabited room that's a lot easier to work our way through. But we will be getting the virus now in just a second. This lovely green creature hands it to us. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him. Hands us a virus, and you can see it's all corrupted. All of the text is a bit wonky, and suddenly these black squares appear, and they're going to cause us a ton of grief. And they react really weirdly. They don't when you rewind time, they don't rewind with you. So that's really strange. There's nothing else in the game behaves like that. We'll learn why in a second. But for now, we have to slash away at these green squares to defeat this boss. Kind of a strange boss, but very cycle heavy. It's important to get everything down the first try. This next square is particularly difficult to pick up on the first go round. Blast! I missed it there. Okay, it's alright. That's a small time loss. As long as I don't die to the boss, that's pretty okay. And this is pretty new platforming for me. I've never done that section before like that. So there we go. That's the boss done. That wasn't too bad. Lost a little bit of time, but nothing major. And Wally, our sidekick, has figured out that if we were to remove our suit, we wouldn't have the virus anymore, which is absolutely true. So now we're a little worm instead of our suited up Oracle. And now we just have to find a new suit to replace the one that had the virus. Of course, that's nearby. Doesn't torture us with a worm section for too long. Just hop in the suit here. The suit very abruptly gets destroyed by a spooky guy who identifies himself as Salesman at some point, and he ends up being the final boss of the game, but we're gonna skip talking to him now and go back for our final loop of the map. So now we just have to collect a bunch of stuff for 100% and the true ending. So for the true ending, we need to collect all of the cards, like this one. This is an example of a card. That's for the small worm oracle. We need to collect all of those. We need to collect all of the orbs. I'll show you one of those when we get to one. And we also need to collect, we need to collect all of the power-ups, all of the decryptors, as well as collecting not collecting, but we need to have been in the same room as heart canisters and phase crystals. I'm not sure we've seen both of those yet, but I'll point them out when we get to them. Now, Grieger, we've got to fight again to get his creature card, but now we have to claw the whole fight. That makes it a lot easier. So, we need to get a good dodge on him. Oh, get a dodge on him. So yeah, the claw just absolutely rips through his health. Again, we have to do the fight damageless to get his creature card. That's not good. Okay. Took a death there. No worries. Get to go straight back into the fight. And not major. Hopefully it will give us a bit nicer pattern this time. That's very nice. He's taken absolutely ages there to dash. So that's terrible. Almost all of this. Yeah, this is a much nicer pattern than last time. Take advantage of this. There we go. That was quite a sloppy fight, but hey ho. We let him escape and see his creature card over there on the left hand side. So it's fastest to mash through the text boxes as quick as you can, so if you see me shaking a bit, that's because I'm mashing really hard. Grab his card, and then we play the game so out of order that we now get introduced to Spooky Figure as if he isn't evil. He introduces himself as this friendly salesman-esque character, but we've already met him as he gave us a virus and tried to kill us. Okay, so now's sort of a good time to start reading any donations as the run sort of becomes much more of a collectathon rather than just
we don't have anything at the minute.
Okay.
So just a reminder to get out there and donate. We still have bid wars going on. For the Language of Fury, Lara's skin for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and for Metal Gear Solid, saving Otacon or saving Meryl. So if you have a particular preference for those, make a donation and check which one you want in the poll.
Okay, I also forgot to mention we have to collect every save point, and that's in order to unlock the sugar. That's great, plays with me. And we have to do that in order to collect every creature card, because the final boss's creature card requires us to have saved every slot, and to do that in as short a time as possible is known as a travelling salesman problem, and that's where the boss got his name, Salesman. It's quite a funny pun, if I do say so. Just a few more cards over on the right hand side here. Got the squirrel, who we've seen a couple times throughout the run, as well as, I think it's the seal character you get here. Just claw our way off that. Yep, that's the seal. So, doing quite well on the power-up collection so far, or creature card collection. Everything's really going quite smoothly. I'm gonna head down here. Again, you might remember this area from the start of the run. Power up over on the left hand side, you can grab here. Gonna get ambushed, but it's alright if you see it coming. Just be a bit careful with him. Does a lot of damage, that guy. Gotta head down here, grab a save. Still using our dash jumps and all of the power-ups we've gained so far, really. Power-ups, just power-up like development and how you use them, it's just all really flawless in this game. It's so much fun. Just, oops, that's really bad. All of the mechanics are really well introduced and really well used throughout. It's no sort of filler content or anything, it's just perfect pacing, everything, really well done. All of the devs. See a lot of you in chat, very nice to see. Thanks for coming by. Okay, there's quite a frustrating power-up coming up soon where you have to do a really long running section. Oops. Okay. There's a really long running section with a spider at the end, and if the spider fires his things at the wrong time, his like red orb things at the wrong time, they can be unavoidable, and they almost certainly are here. Yeah, they are. Okay. So it's just a sort of a time loss you have to take, unfortunately. It's kind of annoying, but you have to kill him, go back and try again. It's unfortunate we got it in this run, but never mind. Yeah, the rewind feature makes sort of every jump really non-punishing. Every mistake you make is just not bad at all, as long as you have plenty of phase left over. So here we grab our first orb of the loop. This is going to be orb C, just to further point out how out of order we're doing everything. This is the third orb you're supposed to collect, and we need these to open the door to the final boss. Do some dash jumps and cannon jumps to collect that, and keep on going. Here's a phase crystal. First one of the run, I believe, and they, as you can see in the top, they give us a bit more vision, can rewind time a bit longer should we need to, and we will in fact need that in a section later on, I would imagine. There's a very difficult section that I'll talk more about when we get to it. For now, got a little worm section, somewhat of a platforming puzzle as we have to get into the correct tube to grab this card. A lot of the cards aren't particularly useful, we don't fight a lot of the enemies once we've collected them, but obviously we have to get 100% and we have to get the true ending, so we're collecting absolutely everything. Like for example, another orb which is coming up. Let's grab the save, because again we've got to collect all the saves, all the power-ups, all of everything. It's seeing absolutely everything this game has to offer today, and I'm really pleased to show it off. Neat little skip here, you're supposed to loop all the way around to hop on this iceberg, but oops, if I time it right, we can hop through the window instead. There we go. That's how you're supposed to do it. And there's this is a really sneaky little creature card. This is probably one of the sneakiest hidden ones in the game, and that's for the main character, Oracle. So we'll do more damage to ourselves. I don't really know how that works mathematically, but we've also got to loop around again, grab the orb, and then we'll be moving on from this area. I think all of the areas are themed really nicely. This one's sort of a, I don't know, spooky area, I guess. All of the music. The music also great. Shout out to Will, I think. Will? Name? He's also in chat, so you can give him a smile. Music's great. Everything's great. I love this game. I'm really pleased to be able to show it off. So thanks for letting me play this today. Okay, this section can be quite tricksy. Have to get down here without taking too much damage because I don't have much health. Did it okay there. And I have to grab a power up there just to give myself a bit more health, because there's a section where it's much more useful to damage boost than to not. This jump can be quite tricky. Not too bad there. And grab a save over here. Make sure not to forget that.
We have a donation from Anonymous for £20.97 with a comment, "Did you know that an unofficial remix is called a bootleg?"
Thanks for the donation. Appreciate all of the help you guys have been giving throughout the day. It's huge for SpecialEffect. I'm sure they'll be very grateful. And,
the donation... Sorry.
It's okay.
The donation was a vote to save Merrill. Save Otacon. Save Merrill is currently on £50, and Save Otacon is on £31.18.
Messed up the movement slightly there. Not a huge deal. To do it again. Choking. It's okay. With the time rewind and all of the other mechanics in the game, as long as you don't die, which happens when you run out of phase and then die, you're not losing any major time really. So, a tricky section there. Okay. Probably about halfway through all of our power-up gathering. Or not power-up, just collectible gathering. Save point to get here. And then we're going to be going back to an area we visited earlier. So you might notice there's a heart in this room, and that's down there. We don't actually have to collect the hearts or the phase crystals, because actually being in the same room as them counts towards the completion, and we only need to get 100% completion to get the valid run, I suppose. And so yeah, we don't actually have to collect the stuff, we just have to visit it, and that would be as another example of that later in the run. Okay, but be careful not to take too much damage in this area, especially after this next save point, because there's a very sort of tricky section where damage boosting is much more favourable than actually performing the correct platforming. It's very challenging, probably one of the hardest challenges this game has to offer. Whoops. Okay, creature card to grab over on the right hand side here. So I don't want to take too much damage, so I might grab some of these little pockets of health and phase throughout this next section. For that one. So just a half heart healing, which can be very useful, like I say, in this damage boosting section. Just be careful to avoid things like that. That's what I was going to say. Oh, come on! Wow, alright, I'll take it. Take the damage. I was really unlucky. Sorry, heart and a half going into this section is not too bad at all. We only really need to damage boost once. Just got to be quite careful. So this is the tricky section. Maybe could even do it without rewinding and without taking damage. That would be really quite special. Oh, amazing! That was flawless. That's a very tricky section, making it look easy. Yeah, so some creature cards in quick succession here. 3 in a row, grabbing quick. And of course, this one can only be grabbed if you haven't opened the password lock door in the current timeline. So that's another routing issue, along with like all of the various routing issues that go on with collecting, say, 40 power-up, 40 collectibles in one lap of a map. It's an absolute routing nightmare. I highly doubt we've found a completely optimal route, but certainly a very good one. Spent a lot of time routing the game. Okay, power up over here, mustn't forget. So 100% is a lot about the platforming, but also a lot about not forgetting anything. It's very easy to let one power-up slip under the radar, so I made sure to take a backup save today. I want to definitely show off the show off the ending to you guys. It's really quite worth seeing, put it that way. This guy now seems like a lot less of a challenge. Now we have all the power-ups to face him. And this room we don't even have to do the puzzle, we can just claw our way through the final door. Power-up here that I mustn't forget. Always forget this one. This is probably my most forgotten power-up. Got a creature card over here to grab. Shoot this cloud so he doesn't mess up anything. That's that for that room. Room can be very tricky if you make a mistake. Because, whoops, a lot of enemies on the screen at once. This is how you're supposed to do that section that we did earlier, with the claw power-up, where it gives you a little bit of upwards momentum, a bit of a bounce. This next section we're actually doing backwards from the intended way, so if it looks a bit jank, it's because it is a bit jank. Well, already taken a bit of damage, that's to be expected. It's actually quite interesting, the like melee damage of enemies. If you like actually hit an enemy, hit their body, then it deals only half a heart for the vast majority of enemies, whereas if they hit you with a projectile it can deal like up to 2 hearts, so it's often favourable to damage boost by hitting the enemy head on rather than letting them hit you with a power-up. This next section you have to do a little bit of backtracking, can't really route it any other way. There's power-up really far up you have to grab, but you also have to go back down again to the bottom left, so kind of tricksy. Might seem like I'm just going in random directions at times, but once you've learned the route around the map, it sort of becomes second nature. It's very easy in Metroidvanias to, once you've played the game the whole way through, you really feel like you've mastered the whole map and you know every route, every shortcut, and just another reason like this game makes an amazing speedrun. I'd love to see more people pick it up. It's really fun, really easy to pick up. Not too many difficult tricks, especially in this category. Actually, the any percent is considerably harder because of the final boss, which we actually don't have to do in the true end. You'll see why in a second. Actually going to take a safety save here because there's a tricky section coming up. Should point out a second ago, it probably looked like I went the wrong way. I actually didn't. There's a phase crystal in that room that, as I described earlier, you have to have been in the same room as, and then you can move on, and that counts for the completion. So I had to visit that room to grab the crystal, not because I was going the wrong way. This is the hard section I was describing, sort of the only real chase sequence in the game, and it is as hard as it looks. You have to swim with very wonky controls, and the time rewind is absolutely crucial for this section. Not a great start, but hopefully that's salvageable. Not got much vision left. It's rough. Okay. Oh, am I going to be able to clutch it? Oh, 0 vision left. Very lucky. Okay. Very nice. And we're rewarded with a creature card and a power-up. Neither of which are useful at all, but at least we get them. Very happy to get through that section first try. So, it's good to have. Whew, it's too close for comfort.
Out of curiosity, how are you looking for your estimate time?
Very good so far. Probably, at this rate, I doubt I'll go over estimate. Let's put it that way.
Wonderful.
It's quite hard to gauge actually. I don't have a timer myself. How far am I in?
Stream time is just shy of 33 minutes.
Okay, I should be pretty much on pace. Maybe a little tad behind. I think I'm on pace to go under estimate. Still got to do all of Celestia's area again. We have to pick up all the power-ups as well as beating her. But then after that, the game's pretty much over. Yeah, so we're doing okay. A couple sneaky creature cards hidden around this area. Collecting more. Movement here can be a bit finicky. A lot of tight jumps and things to avoid. I'm going to avoid this phase crystal. Don't need it, and it doesn't lose much time. It loses a lot more time if you miss the jumps following it. But hey ho. Yeah, so we're going back to Celestia's area again here. We've got to beat her again without taking damage, but now we've beaten her once. We have the buff of dealing more damage to her, so we can beat her beat her a lot easier because we deal way more damage. But of course, we have to collect all of the creature cards in one part of the time tree. So it's actually you have to do it twice for Salacia, or it's faster twice anyway.
I realise I've just missed the donation. We had a £10 donation. It just says Jahva from Anonymous.
Thank you very much, Anonymous Donator. That is in fact me. Okay, not forget to collect the orb. It should hopefully be the last one. I actually remembered all of them. A couple more cards to get up here. We've got the rose that you may have seen dotted about. Shoot stuff. Any Javas in the chat? And our old friend Sherivis, who we fought at the very start of the game. He sort of beat himself up and now he's been sulking ever since. Grab a power-up card. And quick fight run. We have to kill off a load of enemies before... Thanks for all the jars. Quick little fight run before we fight Salacia again. We need to clear this so that we have room to build up speed. Thanks everyone chat, you guys are amazing. Ooh, messed up that jump slightly. There we go. And because of course 10 minutes are long gone, we need to break through Salacia's door a different way. Because the music chimes aren't going to go off this time, so we can luckily use the speed power up to break the door. And this time we just tear through our health. You can see all of my shots do much more damage than last time. And it should be really easy to take down Salacia, like so. And yeah, we're on really good pace so far actually. Just looking at the in-game timer now, the 14 minutes, that's pretty good pace for Salacia. So hopefully should be way under estimate. Yeah, not a lot can go wrong from here. The run's sort of basically over at this point. It's all just sort of walking simulator-esque. There's a couple more saves, a couple more power-ups, and a creature card. Just gotta hope I didn't miss anything. Like I say, if I did, I got a backup save ready just in case. So, really want to show off that ending for you guys today. I think I've got everything though. Can't think of anything on the top of my head I've missed, and no one's yelled at me in chat. I've got a couple people who also remember the power-ups. So. Okay, definitely remembered all the orbs because the door's busting open now. We've got to grab a save point up here, and that means we've collected every save point. Hopefully, if I haven't forgotten any of them. So grab the save point and head all the way back down again, and we'll see there's some lights to indicate which save points I've remembered and which ones I haven't. And I've remembered all of them. Brilliant. That's really good. So we get the creature card for the final boss, Salesman. But because we're getting the true ending, we don't actually have to fight him. We find another way to make amends. And we'll see that in a second. Whoops. Oh, I've actually underdone that a bit. I need to jump up earlier, a bit later. So. Okay, there we go. And hopefully now we have 100% completion. I'll wait until I've reached the top of the map to check that. That's where my safety save is. So, yeah, hopefully we've grabbed all the power-ups, we've grabbed all the creature cards, and because we've grabbed all the creature cards, the salesman is gonna notice that and think, wow, you've really been out there collecting. I appreciate that, and he's also a collector of cards. He's a bit of a connoisseur himself, and he's gonna give us a game of cards instead of fighting us. We did collect everything, brilliant. Didn't forget anything. That's great. It's just what you love to see. So time's coming up in not too long. I'll give you a bit of a countdown. It's when the logo of the game shows, and that's just after we reach the top of the mountain and start playing a game of cards with Salesman. Very cute, very well animated. I spoke to the animator before he speedruns the game himself. Okay, just a little bit of platforming, and we reach the final boss, who would usually fight us, and it's quite a tricky fight, but notices we've got all the cards, and treats us to a game of cards, and time will be coming up in 3, 2, 1, time. Right, undershot that a bit. Sorry. It's alright. Just have to wait for the credits to roll to see the in-game timer, and during that time I'll give some shout-outs. So shout out to the Discord, everyone in the Discord, shout out to all the developers making the game absolutely brilliant. 35-25, pretty alright time. I was hoping for maybe a sub 35, but didn't quite get it today. So yeah, thanks everyone who stopped by and watched that. It was a brilliant run. Thanks everyone for coming by. Thanks to the developers. Shout outs to the Discord. Come play the games. Absolutely brilliant on Steam. And then the Discord's on the speedrun.com page. Come join us if you want to try the game. Absolutely great game. Couldn't recommend it more. Okay, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll pass over to Sleepless.
Thank you. So we're going to a short break, and then after that we will be having Jay running Fury speedrun mode. No, it's not no pause glitches. They're a different title now. But yes, Fury speedrun coming up after the break. We will see you then.